Can XRP flip Bitcoin and become the biggest crypto in the world? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video, guys. Okay, so if you were going to be asking me this question today, I would most likely say no, XRP can't flip Bitcoin and claim the title as digital gold. And I'm going to kind of explain why, but to be honest, I don't think it's much of the question that we should be thinking about this video. I think it's kind of the idea, and I'll get into a little bit more of that later in the video. Okay, so we all know that Bitcoin has claimed the title as digital gold, holding most of the market and being scarcer and less utility based than XRP and other altcoins in that matter. And so this is why Bitcoin is digital gold. It has the fixed supply, which XRP doesn't. XRP has around, well, not all of it is in circulation right now. It has around some more that hasn't came out that we'll be talking about and later in the video. But the dominance in the market valuation has positioned Bitcoin as the primary store of value in the crypto market just because of its scarcity, kind of all the above that we'll be getting into later. But XRP has been making notable things in the market that has challenged Bitcoin's long-standing dominance. And this is mostly driven by XRP's strong performance and renewed market interest. Everyone is really interested in XRP, which is a very good thing. I think XRP is like fun. I think it's interesting. And to be honest, right now, or I don't really think Bitcoin is the same. I think because if you think of gold, we think about, yeah, gold kind of like is gold, but we kind of just, it's not very interesting if you know what I'm saying. You don't really move it. Like XRP is more movable in that matter. I don't think Bitcoin is as interesting and as fun to play with and move around. I think it's kind of gold. Gold sit there. You store gold. You don't really move it. So that I think that is also a factor that we can look into. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier that I said we'd get into. So Bitcoin has a fixed supply of 100 billion tokens, with not all of it, 60.69 billion currently in circulation, which more is getting released. I think around 200 million a month is being released. But so that is also the thing. XRP also lacks Bitcoin's first mover advantage. And this is because Bitcoin is the dominant. It is around 58% of the market. And it's kind of a thing where we wait on Bitcoin or we see what Bitcoin does. It kind of like is the first mover that kind of tells the tale. We wait on it to tell us what to do. It's that kind of thing because it's that powerful. It's that strong in the market. But XRP has reached very notable milestones. We all know this, including outperforming Bitcoin during recent market rallies. For instance, XRP is already up 11.6% year to date, while Bitcoin has posted a comparatively modest 2.34% gain over the same period. And I think about like this. Gold is kind of like that. I don't think gold moves as much. It's kind of just like a very valuable item that can move up or down, but it doesn't move very much. I think XRP it can move way more up or down. You can take that as you want. If it's a bad or a good thing, I would definitely take it as a good thing because we move a lot more in that regard. But some of the XRP community has taken, sorry, I made a mistake there. Despite growing efforts by some members of the XRP community to position the token as digital gold, critics remain unconvinced, which I think is completely understandable because Bitcoin has been here for forever and has been known to be digital gold. So if you think about that, it's kind of hard to just flip gold around and say, oh no, gold's this thing, not this thing anymore. That's a hard thing to do. But they do argue, the critics argue that XRP is ill-suited as a primary store of value, pointing to Ripple's substantial influence over the asset. Notably, Ripple still controls roughly 34.18 billion XRP. In addition, the company releases at least 200 million XRP into the market each month, a practice that critics say fuels concern about potential price suppression. That is very interesting. Okay, so the question again, can XRP replace Bitcoin as digital gold? To determine this, it is essential to move beyond narratives and examine the underlying data, which I do think makes sense. We need to take in other cases, specifically numbers, market structure, and the real world use cases that define each asset. I think this part is very important because if you think about this, whenever a lot of people aren't into crypto right now, if you think about the majority of the world, a very small amount of people are in crypto right now. And so if you're watching this video, you are one of the early people into crypto. So we think about XRP at like $2. That is, people in 10 years from now could be getting in on it at $10, be like, oh yeah, I'm so early. But you have been there for $2 and you'll just be laughing at them. And I think this is interesting too, is because Bitcoin, if you think about real world use cases, whenever crypto is kind of adapted in the real world and future down the road, Bitcoin, if you think about gold, people don't go out and buy stuff with gold. They're not like, okay, I'll pay for this with gold. You don't think about it like that. So Bitcoin is more of an asset where you kind of just hold it, and it's a very prized possession. But XRP could definitely be used as something where you just pay stuff in the real world. Like I'll pay with this with XRP, which makes it, I think it makes it just so much more interesting. I always think other stuff, like if I think about gold, yeah, it's cool, but I think other stuff that you can actually use it is more interesting, that is also still very valuable and can still make you a ton of money. And I think this is really cool. If you think about the real world cases, it is very different, which I really, really like. And so we want to talk about the market cap reality. This is kind of setting reality of why it is a very skeptical question. Okay, so if you want to, Bitcoin trades at 90,000 per token as of right now, around 90,000. I don't want to quote this exact number since it is around 90,000, hovering around there, which gives it a market capitalization of $1.8 trillion. XRP, in contrast, trades at around $2. And with that, a total market cap of 126.75 billion. So significantly less. And this means that Bitcoin is market capitalization is more than 14 times that of XRP's. So you got to kind of take that into account. Gold versus something very, very valuable. 14 times that of XRP's, which is pretty crazy to think about. So this is how high XRP would need to rise to become crypto's digital gold. So yeah, if Bitcoin is valued around 1.8 trillion and then XRP is around 126.75 billion, this XRP would need to reach around 1.85 trillion. And that is if Bitcoin doesn't really move at all, which obviously I think it will. We all, I think, should think it will. And I'm saying around 200,000 at the end of this year, which I think is very realistic. So XRP would have to keep moving to beat that, keep moving while Bitcoin keeps moving. But real quick, guys, I want you guys to know that we don't need XRP to become digital gold. It's not really necessarily a thing we should want, because as Bitcoin moves, I'm going to hammer this in. As Bitcoin moves up to 200,000, XRP will move as well. So it'll be exponential growth. XRP will be shooting up while Bitcoin shoots up. So we don't need XRP to surpass Bitcoin for XRP to become very valuable and replace it as digital gold. We don't need that. All we want here at the end of the day is to make money. And if you want to make money, you don't care if you have digital gold, if it's really per se making you a ton of money. Like, you don't need the name. I think that XRP doesn't need to be named digital gold and replace Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin is very valuable in the sense of that it boosts XRP's value. I think as Bitcoin goes up, we don't need XRP to pass Bitcoin. I don't think it's realistic because we kind of piggyback off Bitcoin. At the end of the day, we're still piggybacking off Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the dominant one. It leads the pack, if you will. It leads the pack, and we're kind of just on the back of that. But that is a very good thing, because XRP will ride the back of that and it'll go crazy. You'll be laughing there when you bought XRP at $2 and it's at $10 by the end of the year, and it'll be like, yeah, we didn't need it to be digital gold. We just needed Bitcoin to do its thing, which it will. We don't need it to be digital gold. And if we do want it to be replace Bitcoin as digital gold, we would need a 359% increase. That's a big number from its current valuation as of right now. And applying the same percentage growth to XRP's price will elevate it from the current level of $2.08 to $30.34. So that is pretty crazy to think about, but I think it's completely realistic. Obviously not right now, but I think it's very realistic in the future. We got to think about 5-10 years down the road from now. And this would mark a new all-time high for the token. The $30 target aligns with the analyst projections, including Mason Versilius, sorry, that's a little hard to pronounce, who recently described the price as realistic. I do think that as realistic. I'm obviously not thinking like next month, but I'm thinking years down the road when crypto is kind of accepted as a currency, which I'm not saying it's not, but widely accepted, where most of the world is involved in crypto, which will happen. So you got to think about it like that. All these numbers may seem big right now, but they are realistic. Obviously not realistic right now, but you got to think about way down the road when everything is up so high and you're in it so early. This will make so much money, and you just have to think about it in that way, where you are here earlier than anybody ever will be. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. It was a little bit of a theoretical question. We kind of talked about the idea of the question, and I think it was a pretty interesting topic that I wanted to touch on. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys right now. I will be uploading another video today, but thank you guys for all your support. It really does mean a lot, and have a great day.